Hello, hello, hello. I guess we got this is prog news. Yeah, let's call it prog news. There's a very interesting interview with Benoit David. Don't know if you remember him. He sung with Yes for 4 years. Yeah. Can you remember? Can you remember that far back? I think about 4 years. Recorded Fly From Here. Well, like I said, there's a really good interview on Rolling Stone. There it is, and it says his rocky tenure as Yes frontman, and it's really interesting. Benoit himself is very, very diplomatic about the whole situation. Again, for those who aren't in the know, when was it, back in 2008? John Anderson was, well, it depends which depends how you look at it. I mean, at the time, John Anderson claims he was fired, but there's been much retroactive refitting of history. Again, and when last time I said that, a number of fans, threw their toys out the pram and had to go and dig deep into the Internet Archive to actually find the quote. So don't come at me. Don't come at me. John Anderson did say he was fired the first time around, but then subsequently revised his opinion. Who knows why? And then Benoit David got the job. And it's really interesting because it tells you how he got it, because he was in a Canadian tribute band operating out of Montreal called Close to the Edge, and I think Chris Squire had seen some of their YouTube videos, and when Anderson was dumped through because he had issues with his health and everything. Again, it was well documented back in the day. Benoit David got the call and was very quickly recruited into the team. Now you've got to understand the mechanics of Yes. Yes are a band that constantly needs to tour. They are rock and roll stars. They have rock and roll lifestyles, and they need to pay for it. And this is why Yes continue to tour and continue to flog that pony or dead horse, whichever way you want to look at it. That's the polite way of saying it. Whereas many rock stars wind down, Yes are still ploughing that furrow. Even with the sad passing of Chris Squire and Alan White, they're still pushing forward. And this is why they get through lead singers like John Anderson, like Benoit David, and when John Davison's voice gives up, they'll replace him as well. They are merciless. They are mercenary and merciless in their outlook. And again, Benoit talks about this in the interview and reveals that Chris Squire was, even though he's very diplomatic, about it, and he doesn't need to be. He could be honest. He explains that Chris Squire was, although a lovely guy, could be a terrible taskmaster. And Benoit David also talks about the various political mechanics within the band. Why Oliver Wakeman was dismissed. Again, at this time Oliver Wakeman was on keyboards, and then during the recording of Fly From Here, which was originally the Wakeman helmed From a Page album, but then it morphed into Fly From Here when Trevor Horn was drafted in on production duties. There was some politics involved, and Jeff Downes was pulled in, and I guess Wakeman, let's do a bit of dog cam. Dogs doing a business at the moment. If you're wondering what the noise is, Layla, do you mind? I'm doing a very important video about Yes here. I'm doing a very important video. The animals, they don't care. Children and animals, never work with them. What was I talking about? Jeff Downes, was brought in, and Benoit talks about the recording of Fly From Here and how Layla, a minute please, was brought in I'll edit this out. I won't, because I'm too lazy for that. But yeah, he reveals how with Jeff Downes brought in, Trevor Horn really wanted to put his mark on that record, and again more of his material, from the Buggles days. Because remember, "Fly From Here" was a Buggles song, was adapted for the record, and he pushed Benoit to sing like him. Yeah. Which he found difficult. It wasn't his way of phrasing it. And when they get out on the road, Benoit, started to sing it like, how he wanted to interpret it. So yeah, that's interesting. You get to hear all about that, and then of course you hear about his dismissal from the band because he starts to suffer vocal problems. Remember, he wasn't a professional musician at that point. This is somebody who was in a band, a covers band. But when I say professional, I don't mean he had experience of being like someone who travelled the world on these tours, and these were pretty intensive tours. They acknowledged that in the interview, how intensive these tours was. And I don't think, I don't think Chris Squire particularly cared much for how rigorous it was on his vocals, on his vocal cords, and he treated him, again, read the interview, pretty harshly. He was like, fix it. That's what he says, fix it. It's very hard to fix your voice if you've strained it. You can only rest it. They allude to, it's not like changing guitar strings or getting a new guitar. There's not a lot he can do with his voice. And then things came to a head. And Benoit stepped away from it and was replaced by John Davison, who's still in the role today. But yeah, the only person he's been in contact with since has been Oliver Wakeman, who he saw as a friend. Yeah, a friend, because they got on well. Wasn't particularly close with any other members of the band. Very businesslike. But then, he goes on to talk about how being replaced, because they did Fly From Here Return Trip, where they re-record the album. Well, they don't re-record it, they just put Trevor Horn's vocals on it and remix it slightly. That's the only version that's available now. He was usurped. Again, it gets very political. And, again, I don't know how you guys feel about it. I always thought it was a bit of a slap in the face for David. I thought that was because I think it's an all right, compared to the last two Yes outings. I think Fly From Here is a not a bad album. It's not, considering it, half of it is old material rehashed. I quite enjoyed it at the time, and I saw that version of Yes performing back in, I guess it would have been in 2011 November. And I enjoyed the energy that Benoit David brought to the stage, because he didn't try to be John Anderson, he didn't try to be Trevor Horn, he brought his own energy to it, and it was a really fun and enjoyable show, and I liked it. But yeah, they've re-recorded it, re-recorded the vocals, and that's the only version you can get now. I don't think you can even, officially, I don't think you can even stream the old official version, the proper version. Again, that's politics, that's musical politics, and again, David talks about this, about how the music industry is, music's great and the fans are great, but the music industry sucks, and he's not wrong there. He got treated, I think he got treated terribly, especially with that Fly From Here issue. They should have re-recorded it. If they needed to do it, they could have reissued it as a double with both versions, in a little box set or something with some live material, and I think everyone would have enjoyed that. But yeah, it's an interesting piece, and you get to hear the gossip about some members of the band not being fit for purpose because of glug glug glug, which again Rick Wakeman alluded to when he left, and we know that because they speed up and slow down occasionally, don't they? But yeah, he doesn't do music now. I think he's in a choir, but he's gone back. He's back to civilian duties, and it's his brush with the music biz, and it's fascinating because they chewed him up and they spat him out again. But yeah, I've just summarised it. You go and read it, and tell me what you think. Tell me what you think of the article in the comment box below. That's me pretending to be interested. Engagement. Tickle the algorithm's balls. You know what we've got to do. And we'll do this all again soon. I just thought it was an interesting article. Thought I'd bring your attention to it. I'll include it. I'll include the linky in the description so you could just click on it, and that's that. And again, I thought Fly From Here wasn't bad. A lot better than the last two bits that they threw out. And that's it. Thank you for watching. My name's been Darren Locke. I've been talking about Benoit David's interview in the Rolling Stone, discussing his rocky tenure with the band. Again, if Yes phoned you up to join the band, would you join? That's a good question. Anyway, thank you for watching. Ta-da, and plug on.